Hello and welcome to Prep Playbook Postseason Football Review. I'm Jim Rapier. Today we'll be looking back at highlights of last week's football state championship games. And joining me to help with our review is Prep sports writer Jerit Roser. How's it going, Jerit? You ready to get started?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Jerit, the Class 1A, 2A, and 3A state championship games featured some exciting action and results. What was your take from those games?
Yeah, a lot of it went pretty similarly to what I expected, I guess. You saw the teams that folks expected to be there throughout the year. Mangum and Haynesville, Manny and Kinder, Livonia, one of the top teams in 3A. A-Meet gets back for the first time in a few years. And I expected Mangum to get the job done this time around against Haynesville, but that first quarter, Haynesville has a couple things kind of go its way, is able to capitalize. Obviously the field goal that gets blocked and they return that, and then the big run. And that was it. Haynesville's defense did everything it needed to do the rest of the way in order to cruise to that 16-0 victory, win a second straight state championship. And then in the Manny and Kinder game, you're seeing there some highlights. The Don Charles Arsenault leaping grab to put Kinder on the board, but Manny, they stayed resilient. They did what they needed to do, come back and ultimately get the win there, as opposed to last year when they had a 2-point lead in the fourth quarter and let Kinder make the big plays late. Manny took care of business down the stretch and got that win 22-15. Livonia came out, and that game kind of started similarly in 3A to what we expected, with a little bit of a feeling out process, both teams having their big plays. You see the big rushing touchdown there for A-Meet, but Livonia ends up getting out to a 21-8 lead at halftime, scores again starting the third quarter, and you could sense that building momentum and sense of, we've got this if we just take care of what we need to do, and they did. 43-14, big time first state championship in school history for the Livonia Wildcats. And
that was certainly a team on a mission, to win the title this year after a heartbreaker last year. Okay, Jerit, you don't always get games that live up to the hype, but in Class 4A, Warren Easton versus Neville did, with Neville winning 28-27. What did you think of that result?
That was another big game of swings, with Easton getting out to the 13-0 lead, and then Neville rolling out to a 28-13 advantage, and then Easton starts coming back down the stretch, and you could feel on the Neville sideline that they weren't feeling too safe as Easton starts coming back. The entire first half and really a lot of the game was almost like a highlight reel. You see the punt return touchdown there. There's a point where, which I don't know if we're going to see this in a second, Tyron Johnson hurdles a guy. You have Cavante Turpin coming up with a bunch of big plays for Neville. There's the 1-yard run. He had, a nice long touchdown grab. There's Tyron right there.
Unreal.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous. And then shortly thereafter was a longer Cavante Turpin run where he just zigs and zags his way through the Easton defense right here.
I mean, he runs at another gear.
Yeah, it looks like you're playing a video game on cheat code right there. He goes 63 yards, and he ends up having the big grab at one point in double coverage, and that was a huge play for them as well. And then, what really cost Easton as much as anything, there was an extra point attempt that was blocked, and there was one later in the game where they couldn't get the hold down on the snap, and you end up losing by 1 point. That's got to be tough for the folks at Easton to swallow.
A great year for Neville and a tough loss for Easton, but don't take anything away from a great year for the Eagles and Coach Tony Hull. All right, Jerit, Class 5A. How impressive was Acadiana in taking down undefeated Destrehan?
Yeah, I remember sitting here before the season and talking to, it might have been Julie actually before the season, and she was asking my thoughts of Acadiana potentially winning another state championship. And before the year, I thought they had a great chance to do it. They were probably the team to beat in 5A, and then they go through all those bumps and bruises along the way, some trouble with fumbles early in the year. They make the change at quarterback. The linebacker, Kevin Moore, takes over, and they looked business as usual come playoff time. The offense did what it needed to do, but the defense was just fantastic.
And there's a LSU commit, Keith Mouton, with a huge catch. They don't pass very much, but when they do, it's effective.
Acadiana offensively did exactly what it wanted to do. They ran that veer rushing attack, and then as soon as they had an opportunity to slip Mouton into some open space, they got him, and he made Destrehan pay. Ends up being the outstanding player with 2 touchdown receptions for Acadiana. And again, to hold a team like Destrehan to 7 points, incredibly impressive. Coach Davidson was really pleased with that after holding another strong offense in Zachary the previous week to just 3.
can't say enough about that defense. Great job for the Acadiana Wrecking Rams, as they like to call themselves. Lastly, Jerit, with the LHSAA naming a new executive director and Eddie Bonine and just concluding 9 state title games in about an 8-day span, what are some of your thoughts about the LHSAA moving forward in terms of maybe getting some of these teams against each other? An Acadiana-Jesuit game would have been pretty nice.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really going to be an interesting couple of months to try and just keep an eye on to get a better sense of where things are heading, because at the end of January you'll have that convention where a lot of things will be voted on. By that point, hopefully Mr. Bonine right there will have had a chance to get around the state as he hopes to do and visit with different principals and coaches and get a better sense of what he's coming into and what some of the concerns are and questions that need to be answered. And so we'll start to get a sense of what to expect from him. Moving forward, you know, will we have 9 state championships again? Will we come back together, maybe get to see something like an Acadiana and Jesuit in future years? Will it be maybe 6 or 7 state championships? There's a lot kind of up in the air right now that we'll figure out over the next month or two.
Yeah, it should be a pretty lively meetings, excuse me, in the next few months. Well, there certainly was a ton going on for the LHSAA in the past week, and as usual, we thank Jerit Roser for giving us some input about everything that's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Always glad to be here.
All right, and don't forget, you can follow all of Jerit's work as well as all of our writers at highschoolsports.NOLA.com. Also, the end of the football season does not mean the end of Prep Playbook this school year. There will be upcoming shows as the winter sports move into full swing. And that's it for this edition of Prep Playbook Football Playoff Review. For Jerit Roser, I'm Jim Rapier. Thanks for clicking on us.